But to go back to your point, I think the automakers are trying to exert more control and the opportunity to sell you shit through their cars.
It's the video game industry all over again. It's microtransactions in your car. You paid full price, but you're not done yet because you want the upgraded battery life? Do you want that extra?
One thing that drives me batshit, and it started with Tesla. It started with Tesla, and now it's trickled on. It drives me nuts. Tesla will sell you a car that has 3 different levels of range, battery pack, or power, and the hardware is the same. It's the software can unlock it. So it's got all the shit that's already in the car, but you have to pay money to unlock the next level of performance.
That's so
like
shitty.
Kyle said, it's a microtransaction, but it's $10,000.
That is fucking absurd. So every Tesla has the same capacity. You just have to pay a subscription to unlock it to
not
be faster.
Every Tesla, but a bunch do. Yeah, but not every single one, but a bunch of them do. Yeah. Like
KTM does that on their motorcycles. I have one.
Yeah.
And there's a couple things. The ability to shift without using your clutch. It's called quick shift.
They have a quick shift built in, but you have to pay to unlock it. A quick shifter.
Yes. Cruise control. And then there's another thing having to do with traction control, which is a real big deal if you ride off-road. You want the better traction control. And when I bought my bike, which is like 2 years ago, you had to pay to unlock it. And people hated that, but for some reason they hate the new thing worse, which is they give it to you for free for something like 1,000 miles.
Oh, a trial, and then they take
a free trial, and then they take it away. Like they get you addicted to it. And people hate that far more than just not having it in the first place. Now, I used to work with ERP software, enterprise resource planning software. It's for manufacturing. So I know like a little bit about how manufacturing works because I did the software that supported it. And I can see why not having so many different configurations saves them money. Like it is cheaper to have one fucking cluster of switches that goes on every bike than it is to have 9 different clusters of switches with every combination of what you might add to it. But now you got a switch on there that doesn't do anything because you didn't pay for the software upgrade. People
not even a blank, a proper switch that is just dead, right?
Yes, yeah. And people that's crazy. But I understand that like if you wanted a blank, you'd have to pay more because it's more expensive to give you all these configurations.
Right. That's like with cars, it's cheaper to put like say power windows in all of them and just build one type of door panel that has power windows rather than a crank window or something.
I didn't know that, but I can see it. Yeah.
So these group of hackers just jailbroke a Tesla. Did you read this one? They just figured out, this group of hackers figured out how to permanently unlock the top performance feature in the Teslas, and they found however you do it, and it's a hack, and you can permanently fucking unhook.
Tesla can't undo it.
So is your insurance going to work now that you've got this Tesla that like let's say you kill someone in that Tesla, vehicular manslaughter, or maybe it's not even your fault, maybe it's their fault. But you were driving that
if you kill someone in a Tesla, Tesla will not take responsibility for anything you've done.
What I'm saying is like worst case scenario, if something happens with
you're like trying to blame them and you're like, yeah, but you were foot on the gas going 120.
Yeah.
It's like, but still.
It was driving itself.
The Tesla should have detected that child.
Right. There was They were, and another thing that have happened, and I'm not sure if it's policy or random failure, is that when people pay extra for these unlocked features and they then go and sell the car to someone else, the next buyer, the second owner, finds those features locked again. And Tesla's going, you need to pay us for them now.
Dude,
and
that
now
sucks. I knew that was true, but that feels that bothers me more than any of the other things that we've talked about. Like Tesla autopilot, I think it's $10,000. Does that sound right?
8 or 10.
I think, well, autopilot, so the quote autopilot is included with the cars. The full self-drive, which is not full self-drive at all, even close to it, by the way, disclaimer, this is fucking not a self-driving car, is $15,000, or I think you can do a monthly subscription.
So you pay
like $200 or $300 a month
for something called full self-driving.
That is not.
But they promise you they will upgrade it to full self-driving in 2 years.
Which they can't.
This every year. Every year. You're 2 years away, and it's been that way for like 11 years now.
The hardware. Yeah, the hardware. It's not just software. Which
they
is what
can't do it.
Initially, I bet he may have even been told by one of his devs or whoever, engineers, yeah, it'll be a software thing. It's amazing. But now we're so many years ahead and just body panels and shit that it's not software anymore. It's going to be hardware. Do we need LiDAR? Do we need some sort of do we going to put sonar on the motherfucker?
Dude, they've removed
constantly
the
trying
hardware.
new tech.
So you pay, you pay
they used to have radar
$15,000
sensors, and now they only have cameras.
And when you resell it, you don't have it anymore. It's bullshit.
Right.
And
I don't know. Very shitty of Tesla,
Yeah.
but I wanted to move to a different Tesla thing, which is, I think last time you were on, or maybe it was a few times ago, we were all talking about the Cybertruck. I think I also said there's no way that's going to be a real thing. Are all these videos coming out now still just the same marketing silliness? Like no one's on the road with them, or is it out there now?
So yeah, okay. So I will eat my share of crow with an asterisk. Okay. So I and you, Taylor, we both thought that they would never build this thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So it seems like they are building something called Cybertruck. Okay. And it looks pretty much like the concept. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. I said it wasn't possible 5 fucking years ago when they said this thing would be ready in a year. Okay. Yeah. And sure, now they are, it seems like on their way. They have running driving prototypes. The photo of the
I think I know something you don't. They failed their safety inspection, and they're moving from a unibody to a frame. I think they're not as close as you're like. That's a huge change.
Well, first off, here's where the asterisk comes.
I read
because
this
originally it wasn't even a unibody. Remember, originally this was an exoskeleton. That was the thing.
Okay.
Well, an exoskeleton, the body, the exterior panels are structural.
Right.
In a unibody, there's an understructure, and the body panels are just hung on that.
Mm-hmm.
On a body on frame, the underbody isn't structural. There's a frame, and then the underbody sits on that, and then the body panels are hung on that. So I didn't see this story where they failed the unibody test. If that's true, and Zach has it, I'd love to see it. I didn't see it today. But if they really did abandon the unit, so my asterisk was going to be that they promised exoskeleton bulletproof, and neither of those fucking things have happened. Those were both complete horseshit.
And they said aquatic, right?
Yeah. And then Elon fucking smoked some meth and said this thing was going to be a boat. Okay, so whatever the fuck he's doing over there, give me some of those drugs.
I mean, it floats. I could believe that it might float. Like maybe it floats
for a short period of time.
Short period.
You would buy a boat
right up until
you crash in the water. It would be nice to know that. Because
if you can afford a Cybertruck, you can afford a boat, probably, right? They're probably like 6 figures, right?
They're going to be like $100,000, yeah. But
all right, well, are they? Because initially they were actually really cheap.
And then they showed this crash test video that was heavily edited together and didn't show the crash. Didn't show the important part. They showed the thing flying at the wall, and then it cuts before the crash. All I'm saying is, if your truck did awesome in a crash test, you'd show it.
Yeah.
If you make a dramatic video and then cut away from the key part, I'm guessing the results aren't very good. And you might recall the Tesla Paint It Black video from a few years ago. If you remember that, where they demonstrated the autopilot function and they had this big disclaimer on the front that said the driver's only sitting there for legal reasons. The car's driving itself. Complete horse shit. The engineers who did it admitted it was faked. They took them a bunch of takes to do it. The car crashed into a fence in the parking lot. It was all fucking bullshit. And so it's not beyond them to basically lie in videos about what their cars are. So they are going to build something called Cybertruck. They are.
The problem with Tesla,
but it's not what they promised before.
It's not the product. The products are pretty good, and I think their owners are pretty happy. There's issues, getting serviced and shit like that. The problem is the lies. The problem is the full self-driving promises, the Cybertruck delivery date promises. Everything Elon says is just fucking full of shit. You can't trust him at all. If Ford did that, if GM did that, they'd get roasted to high heaven. But Tesla,
those companies did, by the way, but a long time ago. We can talk about that if you want. Ford and their Pinto thing, GM and their, remember the book Unsafe at Any Speed, Ralph Nader, very famous book. That's basically a great book and holds fucking up. It's really worth reading. And it's about how GM, Ford, and Chrysler colluded in the 50s and 60s to skirt emissions and crash standards and basically wanted to continue making very profitable and unsafe cars. I mean, those companies, if you look far back, Henry Ford was almost a fucking Nazi. If you look far back enough, those companies don't have clean hands. But today, okay, a little better. But what they don't have is that cult of personality worship. Most people don't know who the CEO of Ford or GM or is, and they don't really give a shit. And most regular people aren't out there comparing those CEOs to fucking Tony Stark, know. And so you have the cult of personality, which is reinforced, by the way, with stock price investments. So you are financially incentivized to listen and repeat the bullshit, because if you're financially invested, it floats your stock, and you don't want to be proven to be an idiot or wrong or believing this garbage that this dude has been saying for fucking 8 years. When the Tesla Model S came out, I was like, this is great. This is an awesome car. It's good. Looks like an Aston Martin, goes really fast, like pretty revolutionary product. Like, I wasn't anti-Tesla until they really went off the deep end, because they didn't have a second album. They had a smash hit first album, and they didn't have a second album. The Model 3 and Model Y and Model X are just variations of the same theme, really. There's nothing in a Model 3 or Model X or Model Y that's not already in a Model S. They're the same car, just different packages. So they didn't have a second album. So they floated this full self-driving thing, like, we're a software company and we're not a car company, and we need to be valued like a software company. And that's why their evaluation, or their company valuation, is like, it's like WeWork or some shit, where we're going to be the everything company. Like, eat a dick, man. You build cars, like, just build cars good. Like, it's just
anytime he gets in trouble, bullshit. He's just like, or like anytime they start calling him on one thing, he's like, oh, here's a clip of what we just did for the Boring Company. And it's like,
I'm going to invent a robot that blows you. Like, come on.
I'm the resident Elon dick rider.
Okay.
And the way I look at it is he's like equal parts like Barnum and Bailey and I don't know, Edison. There's a little bit of invention and businessman and injecting money into the right people to get innovation to happen. He does that. He's done that. But there's a lot of that.
He's closer to Edison than Tesla.
Don't look
much closer to Edison than Tesla. Yeah. Edison bought people out of their inventions and stole other ones and gets credit for inventing a lot of shit.
He's a real Marconi.
Yeah, Tesla was the one inventing all the shit. Have you ever seen quotes from Tesla? That guy was a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
An absolute weirdo. Yeah. Like, you listen to his quotes, and it's like, man, this guy did not like women. Like I believe he was really into science, but
he was a genius.
Complicated person.
But
same thing. I just listened to a 3-hour podcast on Albert Einstein. Like, dude was a genius. Dude had a lot of fucking. When he talked about how our country was going to be in 50 years in the 40s, man, that guy fucking nailed it. But he was not nice to females at all.
No,
I just saw a picture of some young, student at wherever he was speaking, sitting on his lap, and he's just like, yes. He's got like a 20-year-old woman sitting on his lap and he's like telling her something. It's great. I love that.
Dude, if you're like a science nerd, and you get to be famous, that's probably a drug that you cannot come down from.